Hi, everyone. I hope you're all doing well during your 40 days in the desert. I hope that you're having moments of joy. And today I have a great moment of joy because I get to talk about one of my personal heroes, Arnie Alpert. So I met Arnie about 35 years ago when we were both children. And I had just come up to New Hampshire to join the Attorney General's office. I was a lawyer in the Criminal Justice Bureau, and mostly what we did was prosecute homicide cases. But every now and then, a case came along of particular political or social excitement for the people in the office, and I was given one of those cases to prosecute. It turns out that a group of nefarious individuals were going into Senator Warren Rudman's office on a daily basis and praying for peace in Nicaragua. Can you imagine? They had been ordered to leave and they refused to leave, so they were arrested for trespass. And I was assigned to prosecute them. So I was new to New Hampshire, and here was a list of people that I would like to get to know, and my job was to send them to jail. So that was my introduction to Arnie Alpert and to the American Friends Service Committee, people like Martha Yeager, like Don Booth, people who became real heroes of mine. I took that job very seriously, and even if I didn't take it seriously, I would take it seriously when I got phone calls from Senator Warren Rudman from Washington, D.C. Hi, Barbara, how's the case going? It's going great, Senator. It's going just great. So I prepared for the case, and one of my ways of preparation was to find out who were these people, who was this Arnie Alpert and his band. And the more I read about Arnie Alpert and the American Friends Service Committee, the more I admired their work. I admired their conviction, their dedication, their approach to making change in the world. And I kept thinking to myself, how in the world am I going to prosecute them? So I read a lot of treatises on civil disobedience, and had it come down to it, I would have spoken to the jury about, they understood their undertaking, they understood the consequences. Your job is to apply the law, blah, blah, blah. Fortunately, I didn't have to do that because before I had come to New Hampshire, their attorney had raised a motion saying that they had a First Amendment right to assemble and pray for peace in Senator Warren Rudman's office. And the trial court agreed with that. The case was dismissed. Yay. And I never got to meet Arnie Alpert. But I became a devotee of Arnie Alpert. And for the next 20 years or so, I stalked his career. I read everything I could about him in the newspapers and the work that he was doing, and became more and more devoted to him in my own, quiet little way. The work that he was doing was doggedly fighting for the Martin Luther King holiday, because not just because of the holiday, but because of the underpinnings of racism that New Hampshire's resistance showed. He promoted and he and the AFSC always championed the rights of workers and the rights of union members, the rights of immigrants. Every battle that I saw Arnie involved in, he was on the right side of, and he was a great model for how you persevere decade after decade after decade. I finally got my chance to work with Arnie in 2006 when I became the legal director for the New Hampshire Civil Liberties Union. The New Hampshire Civil Liberties Union, like the ACLU in general, had long been involved with repealing the death penalty. And in 2006, there were all of a sudden 2 capital murder prosecutions going on in New Hampshire. It was a time of real real call to action. For the next 14 years, I worked with Arnie to repeal the death penalty. And what I saw from him is firsthand how you actually apply the commitment that we make to each other every week to seek the truth in love. Because that is what Arnie did every single day. It's not easy to do it. It wasn't easy for me. We had a lot of bills that we lost by 1 or 2 votes, people that we thought were on our side, and then ultimately voted to retain the death penalty. It made me angry. It made me frustrated. But Arnie always led with love. In the 14 years and through all the disappointments that we had before we finally repealed the death penalty, I never once heard him say a bad word about anyone or make any kind of an ad hominem remark about anyone. He's a real model of what it means to continue to seek the truth, but to do it in love. I am so grateful that I had those 14 years getting to work with Arnie. I learned a lot about what it means to actually practice our religion. Today, we get a chance to honor Arnie and the work of the American Friends Service Committee by donating to a plate. And I'm going to spice it up for you a bit because I pledge to match your donation up to $3 for one, up to $1,000. It's so important that as we honor Arnie, who is retiring after 40 years, that we continue to support the American Friends Service Committee because of the work that they do and they have done and will continue to do in New Hampshire. They make a difference in our state. They make a difference in our lives. So thank you for contributing today.